I live my life like a top fuel dragster. Always trying to go 350 mile an hour. But every once in a while, I will break and need rebuilt.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Top Fuel 5, logic versus emotion. So, how many conversations have you guys had where someone was very passionate about something? They're high on an adrenaline rush. They're really all about this thing. And then you see this thing presented or this thing talked about. And one person says the most logical possible thing. It's blunt, it's direct. And the person that was excited gets deflated immediately. So there's a time and place to be very cautious of how you present something to someone. And it's really interesting to know when. If you know that this person is excited about something, you can tell the truth and not say what is this guy exactly on your mind. Both can be true. So if someone is high on emotion and they're driving this high adrenaline rush, whatever it may be, a performance they just got done, a game they just got done playing, if you're talking to someone that just got done playing a basketball game, they scored 20 points and they say, what do you think, about the performance? You don't say, well, you had 15 turnovers. So, yeah, you had 20 points, but you had 15 turnovers. We should probably work on that. Deflating. But if you say something like, you did really well scoring tonight, your team won, it was a great team victory. You're not directly talking about the thing that needs to be discussed because there's a high of adrenaline, a high of emotion. So whenever something is presented to you or you're asked a question, you can be honest and not be brutally honest at the same time and wait till the emotion comes down. So kind of like a coach is going to say something uplifting, positive at the time, but the next day in film or a couple days after in film, that's when the reality is going to sink in. So there's a time to present something a certain way and understand that the person's reaction is going to be as positive as the message was. When someone presents something that they are passionate about, do not deflate them. They will not present it to you after a while. And when they quit doing that is when they push themselves away. I think it's more of a natural instinct for someone that if you're passionate and you take it to someone that deflates you every time, eventually you're not going to take it there anymore. Eventually you're going to take it to someone else that has a passion for it, whatever it may be. So if you're, a parent or a coach or anything and it's always negative, always what is in the gap of what you didn't accomplish and not talking about the accomplishment itself and acknowledgement of a good job, and then feed into the emotional side of that, and then in a couple days maybe then go to logical. So say you had a friend that was an actor or an actress and they're on stage and you watched a performance and the script was horrible, the show itself wasn't very good, but your friend did good, but overall it was just a disaster. So your friend comes off stage and just tells you like, man, I'm so excited, and they're high on the adrenaline rush. They were on stage and you're like, yeah, that was a shit show. The script was bad. That person is not going to come to you anymore. They're not going to invite you anymore. They're not going to want you there. But if you talk to them about how well they did, maybe point out one other person in the show and not mention the things that are negative, right or wrong, they're negative because they're not good. And emotion does not allow someone to understand that this is logical because they're emotional at that point. So wait for someone to decompress, take a couple days, and turn on the logical brain. And when the logical brain comes back on, they're probably going to agree with you. But they'll never agree with you if you just deflate them with the emotional side on. So the actor that comes off stage or actress that comes off stage, acknowledge the good stuff and then save the bad stuff for a couple days after and just say, hey, do I have the platform to be completely honest with the performance, what I thought of it? And then don't say, directly, this effing sucks or whatever. Just say, hey, I wasn't a big fan of the script. I wasn't a big fan of this actress. They're probably going to agree with you more than likely because the logical side is taken over, it's set in, and it's not emotional anymore. Now, it might not always work that way. Sometimes, maybe you should just be direct and blunt. There are certain times when certain individuals need a blunt statement or a blunt reaction to an emotional situation. But rarely is it when they're high on the adrenaline of that thing, when it's an idea or a new opportunity or something that they just performed. If it's a long-term thing in the past that creates emotion, that's a little bit different because they've had time to process. So when I mention the emotion, I think personally it's more in the immediate, right after something happens, that really gets people caught up when they're on this emotional high, this adrenaline rush, and then someone deflates them right away. Know your audience, know the temperature of the room, as I like to say. So at the end of it, logic versus emotion. Don't tear someone down when they're on an emotional high. Do not take logic to an emotional gunfight. An emotional fight with logic will not work. People don't always need solutions. Sometimes they just need you to listen.